Hello, welcome to the round 23 player ratings video, the final player ratings video for season 2022. Just got to get this one out of the way, to be honest. It is what it is. These videos are brought to you by Doing a Bit. I want to thank Mark for his continued support of the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. He's been a part of the family. This is the second season now, and he is the sponsor of the player ratings video. So make sure you do check out Doing a Bit. I have got a couple of $50 vouchers for the shop there at Doing a Bit. So I'll pick out a couple from the comments below and we'll go from there. These are essentially votes between 1 and 10, 5 being the pass mark. Halfway through the year, I kind of wanted to stop doing them, but I realized you can't stop doing something once you start it. So next year, I'm going to evolve this into something. I'm not sure what yet, but some suggestions, if you have any, would be great in the comments. I think there's a way in which we can do this a little bit better. But nonetheless, we'll start as the team was named and go from there. Wiedering, Young, and McGovern. Wieders, I don't know, there's something wrong with him. He's sore. He's a very sore boy. He hasn't been the same. It's tough to watch him play. He's clearly going through something, and I know a lot of people are sore at this time of the year, and it's a brutal sport and all of that, but he just doesn't have the same look in his eye. It's I don't know this for a fact if he's still carrying something, but my observation is he's certainly really, really sore, and I would assume that will probably come out over the next few days or weeks. But yeah, just hasn't quite looked the same since he returned from the injury. I gave him a 4 for his game, but he did some really nice things. It's just the expectation of Wieders. He's such a great player, and really, I guess this vote is based on what I know he's capable of. Lewis Young, I thought he was exceptional. I gave him an 8. I thought he just stood up really well. I thought he settled into the game earlier than most of the other defenders. And once he took his first mark, he was away. I really liked his game. McGovern, I tell you what, his final 5 games have been nothing short of impressive. I've really loved what he's brought to the side down there, down back. I'm not sure if that's something we pursue next season and thereafter, but I thought he was really good. I gave him an 8. Next up is Marchbank, Sard, and Stocker. Marchie, I gave him a 6. I think he's been really good since he came back as well. I think he's certainly getting his job done, and it's a relief. He's a big story. I know that we're all hurting and it's emotional right now, but I think that the story of Caleb Marchbank playing regular footy again is a really big tick for the group moving forward, because he is a real key pillar in what this whole plan was for this group. So he was good. Sardi is another one. He was sore. You could just tell. I was a little bit surprised that he came up and played yesterday, if I'm honest. I thought he might have been the one that wouldn't play. There were some rumours that he and Wiedering and Walsh were all going to miss, but he played. You could tell he was in a lot of pain, but he kept on keeping on. I gave him a 7. Stocks, I loved his game defensively. He played on Elliott for the most part. Obviously, Elliott got off late in the game, but I thought Stock was really good defensively. Obviously, didn't win as much of the ball, but I don't think he was in the side for that. It was a pure lockdown role. It's tough because I thought he was good for the majority of the game in his defensive, instruction. I don't know. I sort of started at 7, went to 6, went back to 7. You can give me some feedback in the comments below on that. Next, we've got Fish, Cripps, and Lockie. O'Brien, Fisher, I thought it was a bit quiet, probably in the first half. Came to life in the second half. I thought he got his job done. I gave him a pass mark. Cripper, I gave the skip a 10. He was enormous. He was just ridiculous, really. Those are games that I've spoken about him being born for, and he didn't disappoint. He was tough. He was strong. There were some moments where he probably took on a few too many players, but when you're in the thick of that, he's just, he's doing it out of the will to want to, get the team over the line. And I think in that last play, probably had the handball on, but he took on the tackler. Whatever, it's very easy to talk about it now. I gave him a 10. He had 27 contested possessions and 12 clearances and 5 tackles. He was enormous, and he copped a massive hit as well from Jack Silvani early in the game. Lockie O'Brien, late inclusion, came in. I thought he was pretty solid. I gave him a 6. Owies, Durden, Silvani next. Owies, I thought he was really good. Thought he was really solid. Brought the heat, kicked a goal, laid 6 tackles, which is a really solid output. I gave him a 7. Durds, I gave him a 4. He will be a lot better for that. It's a very unique situation. I can vouch for the character, and he is a very impressive young man, and he'll learn a lot from that. When you strip it all back, and it's very emotional right now, but when you strip it all back, the fact that he's been able to be a regular in this team this year is a pretty big step up from what he was able to produce last year. So I think he hold his head up high. He'll learn from it, and I know the essence of the character that he has and the work that he puts in and how much pride he takes in his craft and in his work. So I look forward to seeing him be a lot better for it. And I think we've got an absolute ripper on our hands in Corey Durden. But yeah, this one I did give him a 4 for his vote. Jack Silvani, I also gave him a 4. I thought he didn't give us as much as what I know he's capable of. That was really the summation of that. Didn't think he played poorly, but I just didn't think he played to the level that I know he can. So for that reason, I gave him a 4. Next up, Mackay, Martin and Charlie. Harry, I gave him a pass mark. He was pretty good all day. I think when it comes down to missed opportunities, maybe I'm being a little harsh in giving him just a 5. Maybe I should bump it up a bit. I'll let you in the comments decide for that. There was a snap in the third quarter just directly in front. Just, it's so unfair to put it all in one moment, but when I watched the replay, don't know why I watched the replay, but I did. There were just a few moments there where I guess we'll be hopefully maturing and getting better and for it. So I think 5 is a little too low for Harry. I'm going to put it to a 6. Jack Martin, I gave him a 6. He looked strong. He looked intense. Still would like to see more from him. I would have thought he would hit the scoreboard a bit more. Would like him to hit the scoreboard a bit more. But I thought he was pretty intense when the ball was around him, and he provided a bit for us. But like most of the games when I watch Jack Martin, I'm left wanting more because I know he's got more to offer. Charlie, I gave him a 4. Again, not blaming the loss on anyone. Just a few moments, and I said it in the review. Charlie, why did you play on? He did it twice. He did it in the first quarter, I think it was, and he didn't make the distance. And then he did it again in the fourth quarter, which really would have iced the game. It would have put us up by 5 goals, I think. And I think it's a sign of some more growth and maturity to come. Taking your time, embracing the moment. There's a high pressure, high stakes. It's all of that, and I wonder what the mechanism is with some of these players when they rush and they run around the body and they kick it. Is it because they're more confident when they're in motion as opposed to going back and lining up and taking that time? I'm not sure, but yeah, he's a beautiful set shot when he focuses on it, and he showed it in the early parts of the season. He had a couple of games where he kicked 4 goals straight, 5 goals straight, so he can do it. It's just disappointing, and I rely on Charlie. Rely on these highly paid players of ours, that the top end, that top bracket. Ultimately, they're the ones that we've invested the most into. So yeah, but obviously with Charlie, it's been a phenomenal year. The story doesn't go unnoticed. What he's been able to achieve this year, it's been phenomenal individually. So it's not to blame Charlie. It's just in the moment. Some moments stick out more than others. Next up, Pito, Setterfield, Doherty. Pito, he's a warrior. He just throws it around and he gives us a real presence around the ball and around stoppage. I gave him an 8 for his game. I love his work. I love what he does. Doesn't go noticed, doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but I think we walk taller when Pito's around there. The way he blocks for the midfielders, and he allows Patrick Cripps to play with a bit more freedom as well. So I gave him an 8. Setterfield, I gave him an 8. I thought he was outstanding. Lo and behold, the last 2 weeks, he might have just, given himself a bit of a rise in terms of the pecking order. I think for most people, the commentary around him has been, do we move forward with him? I think he's shown that he can do it, especially against, top 4 teams, 2 top 4 clubs in a row. He's done it. So I thought it was very impressive. I gave him an 8. Doc, I gave him a 10. I mean, his game was sensational. 786 metres gained, kicked a goal, won a lot of the ball. Unfortunately, there are a few, costly errors amongst that, but I think probably everyone on the field had an error or two in there, and just because it was in the fourth quarter and late, probably sticks out in the memory. But no, he was Herculean, and I gave him a 10. Then we've got the bench: Motlop, Chera, Zach Williams, and Cottrell. Mott's, I gave him a 6. Bit quiet. Then he sparked up in the third and he kicked the 2. That was really good to see. And here's another one where I'm really surprised at the output that we've gotten from him this year from a game standpoint. So it's a very exciting prospect with Jesse Motlop moving forward, because he's got something. He's got it. Whatever it is, he's got it. And I think games like that can only do players like him a benefit. So I gave him a 6. Chera, I gave him a 10. It was a perfect time to play the best game of his season, and obviously the best game that he's played for the club. Kicked a couple of goals, 7 tackles. He was Herculean. If you look in the fourth quarter, he copped a really big hit going in for a tackle on Jeremy Howe, and his head really sort of knocked back, and he just took the brunt of the force and put his body on the line, and that's all you can ask for in that situation. And yeah, I thought he was excellent, so I gave him a 10. Zach Williams, I gave him a pass mark. For a guy that hasn't played a lot of football, that was a pretty good effort, I must say. That was a really good effort. Maybe 5's a little low, maybe 6 or 7. I think what I saw from the game yesterday is, why we need him in the side, because he can handle the heat. He can execute under pressure, and he showed it with some of the kicking, some of the, the ability to sidestep when it was really tight at the end of that game, and nail his kicks was good. Obviously, it's all about getting his body right, and hopefully he can have like a 20-game season. And I just think he's a quality player, and he showed it yesterday. So I gave him, I'm going to bump that up to a 7. 5 is way too low, because I thought he was pretty good for us defensively too. Cottrell, gave him a 6. I thought he was slow early, but he willed himself into the contest, and by the end of it, I thought he was worthy of a 6-vote game or a 6-rated game. Yeah. Today's worse, man. Today's fucking worse. This is filmed the day after the game for those watching in the future. And today's worse. Thanks once again to Mark from Doing a Bit. Thanks again to everyone who contributes to these videos weekly and gives me some feedback and allows me to change the scores. I will have another video about the player ratings and the player of the year. I actually don't know who won. I've purposely done it this way. I'll tally them up, and I'll do a video focusing on who won this award, and I look forward to that. And I'll do it separately, maybe once the emotion settles down from round 23, and I'm able to just talk with a little bit more juice, and we'll go from there. Have a good one. Go Blues.